Hey guys, we are going to be using today the 20102 brush from Omega. Kind of a long loft there, but that's because it's got kind of some firmness to the bristles, and so it helps to mitigate that. We're going to be using, and this may be kind of the last of the hard soaps that I was going to put on my tour, What the Puck from Razorock. And I think it does have lanolin, so I guess maybe that makes it not a vegan soap, but I didn't really notice any, I don't think I noticed any tallow ingredients. So it may just be kind of a lanolin based. And it is a triple milled soap. A little disappointing to me. I've used it twice, but I thought I'd bring it into this tour, this section anyway, because it is a triple milled soap that's easily available. It's a common brand, and it's very functional, and I really like this blue scent, even though I don't really like the lather that it makes. It's not really as enjoyable of a lather. I'll be using this Fat Boy, 1960, I believe. It's an F2. I just learned some interesting things about the Fat Boys. They were made in 4 different versions, 4 different configurations, and some things to look for that are different. You see these 2 little indentations on the ring here. The first 3 versions of the Fat Boy had these. The last version, the 4th version, did not. And that's why these are often a little more desirable, because these allow more easy maintenance, removal of this end piece, which allows then for the whole razor to be disassembled. The 4th edition was a crimped version that you have to crimp and uncrimp, that kind of thing. Another thing is that this version has this kind of black part underneath the adjustment dial. Previously there was another metallic ring there, or the ring was visible. Another one you can't see. This base plate part right here comes down into the adjustment dial, and in some of the versions it's longer. In the first versions I believe it's longer, and then in the last 2 versions it's a little shorter. So they only made this for 3 years, but as you can see they changed the versions up a little bit in terms of the parts and things like that. And then after that it was replaced by the Slim, which I've used recently on my channel. All right, so we're going to use the Nacet inside of it. I used to be able to identify the blade to you via an X that was on the side, but many uses ago it started to weaken and wear away, and so I put in the 3 dots there. And the other side, this is the side that's to the top cap, so it's actually fairly clean. The dot side there I'm going to put toward the handle, as I always do. For this razor, it's just something arbitrary I decided to do. Regularly normally I flip the blades. Oh yeah, the setting today, let's just pump it all the way up to a 9, because I tried an 8 with the Slim recently, and it still didn't quite get me the closeness I wanted. Let's see if the Fat Boy is different. I know the head geometry on the Fat Boy is a little different than the Slim, so we'll see if it makes a difference in the way I use it. So here's the dots. So that's an 08 right there. So we're at 258. And today will be shave 259, about to hit another decade. All right, I've had the What the Puck soap soaking while I've got my gear together to get my face wet. I did look at my notes and I saw that I soaked it for a similar amount of time, and then I loaded for 30 seconds and it gave me just enough lather. Then my second use of it, I learned from that, I soaked it in warm water and loaded it for 30 seconds, and I got a lot more lather, too much. So you can see there's some variations that can be had. So I'm going to load it for 45 seconds. Let's see how that goes, because I have soaked it in cool water and not warm. Shake most of the water out here. This has got a lot of nice little split tips. Some of them are only split maybe 1/4 of an inch, but a lot of them are more than that, so that's coming along nicely. He's still not soft yet. Okay, 45 say, oh, 18 was right there, so that's just 3 more than 15, so we'll go to 03. Just kind of moderate pressure. This brush, at least with this type of puck, doesn't really splay. It just kind of drags around behind, you know, the handle, which can be a little tricky if you have smaller pucks or narrow cup situations. All right, about 10 more seconds now. Two more, and there we go. Doesn't look like much from this particular brush, but that is sometimes normal. For different soaps. One note I made was that the lather is a little bit tricky. It looks like it's not ready. It looks like it needs more water when it doesn't. And so I made a note that I should go by feel next time instead of the appearance. But for one thing, the scent is that wonderful blue, standard blue, or should I say typical blue scent in shaving. Maybe Aqua Velva blue was the first people to bring that in. We're the first people. I think it's a formula of some different florals actually and some things like that. You almost wouldn't know it. Okay, everything kind of, as you can see, it may have looked like not very much lather on the, not very much soap on the brush, but that's not true. One teaspoon in. There's some people who might see this type of lather and think that it's good, and I'm sure it would give them an okay shave, but we probably need to go further than that. I've discovered that the slickness really is what helps you to get a good shave, a really good shave, a comfortable one. When you have a properly hydrated lather, you're going to have a better face feel afterwards because the soap isn't as caustic on your face. It's been tempered by the water a little bit. And now the lather just gets better and better looking. So it looks like this is one that I need to run a little drier than I might think. We've got 2 teaspoons in it. Let's put 3 in and just see if that, we'll feel it after that. Don't want to overdo it. Didn't have a creamy feel at all, though it was slick. The last time I used it, this is what my notes said. And so that's why it was a little bit of a disappointment. But it It's an economical soap. Razorock, Italian Barber, regularly runs sales on it where you can get 3 of these pucks for $9. You know, all 3 cents. The orange, the lime, and the blue. And so that's probably a really good value. You may not get the lather enjoyment that you might want, but you've got decent scent strength and you get good performance and probably long lasting. There we go now. See, it's much closer to a good looking lather than what we initially started to see. All right, we're gonna feel, give it a good, yeah, that's slick. Got a little bit of a creaminess to it. So let's add maybe half a teaspoon of water, not go too much further. So that'll be 3½ teaspoons. And that nice blue scent's coming up to my nose, enjoying that a little bit. It's not super strong at this point. All right. Water on my face. 24 hours maybe since my last shave. And I do have hard water. See what this lather turns into. Sometimes on the first pass it kind of dries out a little bit because it needed more water in the first place. So we'll just see what happens. Yeah, kind of looking like it needs a little bit more. Can't hold my syringe today. And as you regular viewers know, I use the syringe just to be able to add up the water I use at the end of the shave and make a note, so it's easier to come back and have the right amount of water the next time I use this soap base. I'm not predetermining in the beginning that, hey, I want to use 3 teaspoons for this shave. I like to turn my head over to the side so that the brush can point down while I kind of work the new water in. Otherwise it just seems to kind of flick out or come out the bottom of the handle or something like that. Before it has a chance to work itself into the lather. This is a much better lather. Okay, so as you can see, the soap needed more water because we ended up making a lot more lather. And this still could use more water, but let's just roll with it. All right, let's just see if the fat boy has a geometry that agrees with this Nacet at this age. Very light tugging. It's not painful at all, not even uncomfortable. You know what it feels like? It's almost like just running like a credit card over your shave, over your stubble. Like when you're a kid and you wanted to pretend to shave, or just maybe hear the sounds of shaving from the way the card sounded. Lifting my chin up just to give my skin a little tightness. So the Slim is a fine razor. The Fat Boy was produced in a limited run, and so that's why it's usually worth more on the used market. There are many who say that the Slim just has a better head geometry, and that's why they switched to it, you know, years ago and stuck with it instead of keeping the Fat Boy going. I put another teaspoon of water in the lather, so total use is 5 teaspoons now. So let's integrate that. Who knows, maybe this shave, maybe I got the water application right and I'll be more impressed with the lather than I was before. Still has some structure there. He's not collapsing in a big way, just in a relaxed type of collapse. Just lay down a little layer there and get on with it. The efficiency seems pretty good, so let's go ahead and move to the cross grain pass. So I am not usually able to shave with a 9 at all during my normal routines when I have a younger blade. So that is definitely something that the smoothed out older blade allows me to do. A little half rinse. Tell you what, guys, after 2 passes, I've definitely had other razors that left a lot more stubble on my skin. We'll see if it really gets the job done in this area after the 3rd pass. Shove some of the lather up into the brush, make it all wide like that. I'm going to have an extra lather here, so no need to worry about keeping it. Is the brush soft yet? Not quite. Still got a little bit of scritch to it. Maybe a tiny bit of prickle. I continue to search through it to find those blocky hairs that don't have pointy tips. Cut them out. All right, well, you know, this lather feels pretty good. So maybe if you come at it knowing that you need to be careful with the water, I mean, you know, a good bit of water. 5 teaspoons is a good amount. Maybe I was just pushing it a little too hard before. We'll examine the lather in a minute in terms of just the way it feels and stuff. Yeah, we're still set on a 9. Let's do my normal 3rd pass pattern here. Kind of on the cheeks, it's the same as the 2nd pass, just a cross grain. I could go against the grain on my cheeks, but I get a great shave, just cross grain. And then my cheeks match my neck because I can't go cross against the grain on my neck. It's gives me irritation. And now let me go switch directions. This is a cross grain pass in this range right here. Hopefully that is the secret for many razor blade combinations. The one that appealed to me the best, that gets this area pretty well. All right, full rinse now. Well, I checked and I'm really happy with the closeness. There are just a few hairs that have a little bit of length on them, but just a few. Very happy. It looks like maybe the Fat Boy might have a geometry that's better for this blade right now than the Slim. I tried the Slim a couple days in a row recently, and he just didn't get that close on that neck area. This is Arko Cool. Arko is a Middle Eastern soap. Turkish, I think. Usually available in a stick. Most people just use it in a stick. And but they also make some aftershaves, as it turns out. And somebody sent me this. Well, I paid for it. But Arko Cool. And I like it a lot because it has this similar blue type scent. And so it's definitely a match for this soap. And it's funny, I get whole different notes from it when I use when my nose has become used to the blueness of the What the Puck. Well, this soap, the What the Puck, gained a little bit more credibility with me today after this shave. I think the lather doesn't hold a lot of water really well. It would feel just a little bit too thin and not do its job very well. But if you start with the assumption maybe to run it a little drier than you might usually, and like I did, I had to add another teaspoon and a half maybe once I thought it was supposed to be where it was. I just had to add a little bit more, and then it turned out to be a really good lather. Let's take a look at it more now. It's a light lather here. Yeah, that looks really creamy, and it feels that way too. It's got a very nice look to it. It does have nice contact slickness at this hydration level. How would I describe that? Yeah, it is very slick. It's doing a really good job protecting. It's almost, you know what it feels like? It feels like my skin has become part of the lather on the surface. And so I've got two softened surfaces being pressed together that are my skin, and then the soap, the lather is just you know, a very a slick, a light, creamy thing between them. And so it's very interesting. It almost feels fuzzy. Not really, but I'm trying to communicate the idea. So let's just see what kind of weight this guy has when we bring him all to the fingers and then pull him back. See, he's still got some structure. See, look how the tips hold themselves up, not moving very much. So yeah, I normally run lathers a little wetter than this. But that lanolin, I think it's that lanolin feel is what I'm getting here. So this is actually, I'm gonna have to revise my verdict on this one. This is a respectable soap, just depending on how you water it. Won't take tons of water, but you can get a nice, luxurious, comfortable, slick and protective lather from this soap, that's for sure. How about that? Well, it's always good to try things again, give them more chances in case it was, in fact, your own fault for maybe not lathering it quite the way it needs to be lathered. So I'm glad I tried it over again. I just didn't quite get it right the first 2 times. No irritation. The alcohol splash didn't sting or anything like that, so we got a good technique going on. That smooth blade really helps too. Really good shave. The fat boy, he is still in the running, so I'm going to have to add him to the good list, along with the Wolfman WR2, the Black Beauty, the Teep Open Comb, and now the Fat Boy are my 4 razors that are handling this blade very well at this age. Pretty cool. So next time will be the 260th shave. How about that? Now keep in mind the softness information I was telling you about this brush, how it's not really soft, and a little bit of prickle. It is a young boar. I'm very pleased that so many of the tips are split, but it is still pretty young. So it's got a ways to go. My Simogs at this age, I liked a lot better. My Zeniths, I liked a lot better. Softer tips. They weren't anywhere close to the level of kind of scritch that this guy has. But boars change a lot, from 10 uses to 100 uses to 200 uses, that sort of thing. And so time will tell which brush I like better at 200 uses. Could the Simogs have opened up too much and be too soft, too light, too much flow through? Could the backbone in this guy hold it in a good place? The tips will keep splitting, and many uses down the road, this backbone still allows this guy to keep the soft tips at that point focused at my face and enjoyable. Who knows? Time will tell. You can't know that until you get there with a boar brush. So that 45-second load produced 7-8 passes of lather. So I could definitely reduce that next time. It could be that my previous run of 30-second loading was with a softer brush. So the firmness of the brush can definitely play a part in how long you need to load. And with this shave, we used 5 teaspoons of water. So 45-second load, 5 teaspoons of water, made a nice lather that I was very happy with. At least in terms of performance, it got to where I wanted it to be. Quantity-wise, it was a little excessive, obviously. Now, if you want to shortcut your lather a little bit, you could carry a little bit more water, perhaps, in your brush when you start loading. You know, I shook most of the water out of mine. You could maybe keep a little bit of water in there. That could get you there a little quicker. Also, what else was I gonna say? Oh well, I forgot. I poured out the bloom water. I poured out the water that was there when I was soaking the puck. And that can be an accelerant as well. That can make it so maybe you don't have to load as long. And so if you, just poured that into your lather bowl, then you wouldn't have to add as much water later and that sort of thing. So those are 2 ways, easy ways you might be able to get to your better lather quicker. All right. Well, it was a good shave. Glad that you tuned in. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I sure hope there's been something in this one that's going to help you out. I know I sure learned that what the puck soap gives me a better lather than I was thinking, and I just had to kind of get it right. So really a pretty respectable soap and a nice scent. I like the scent strength. I like the performance of it. It may not have held as much water, may not get as kind of slick and wet as I normally might like. That's just its only weakness, really. I also sometimes don't like to support Italian Barber quite as much because they do kind of take away negative comments rather, off their site. They've been known to do that before, and so the opinion that you get when you read the reviews on their site is a little lopsided to their favor. I don't think that's very fair. And there's some different things like the refund policy. I've heard people get like a bad aftershave or a some spilled out, and basically they were only refunded the amount that spilled out or the amount that was gone instead of just a full replacement, you know, that sort of thing. Just most of the other shaving vendors out there that we've got are more customer service focused than that. And so I like to usually reward them with my business. But the Italian Barber sale page is something that I've occasionally bought things from because they just offer such great deals. But generally I try to take my business somewhere else if I can. All right. Well, that was a good shave. All right, guys. Hey, good night.